Hello! Thank you for joining me on I Am Maggie. And I so appreciate you taking your time to support me here on my channel as we just pick up one or two or three or a million positive tools that can help us along in this game of life. Because if you even pick up one tool, which you know we're going to pick up more than one tool, it could change your life and those around you. And since we are game changers, having the tools makes a lot of sense. Okay, so what are we doing? We are reading Dr. Wayne Dyer, Excuses Be Gone. Now, we gonna be walking Wayne Dyer? Okay, why are we doing this? We're doing this because it is a book on how to change lifelong self-defeating thinking habits. And if you just pick up one of these, I mean, it could demolish a whole kingdom of things that aren't operating right. So work towards the spectrum of all things are working out perfectly. All things are possible through God. So we're going to get back to it. We are in part 2, chapter 10, and it's called the seventh principle, compassion. So let's get it going. So allow me to conclude this chapter by telling you another story. This one concerning my daughter, Summer, and me. As I was driving her to the airport for her to return to college after a long weekend home, she was admiring my new watch. Now, this was the first new timepiece I had had in at least a decade. I really enjoyed it as its shiny steel and black face as I did. I really enjoyed looking at it as its shiny steel and black face, and as I did, I think about how this was my favorite watch of all time. Yet I knew in my heart that Summer would love to wear it, since men's watches seem to be the current craze for young women. And especially when your dad is Wayne Dyer. I mean, he's such a loving dad. So all daughters, we love, in general, love our fathers and would love to wear their watch. So as I dropped my daughter off at the curb and assisted her with her luggage, I was prompt to remove the watch and give it to her. Even though it was my most prized possession, particularly since I have almost no possessions any longer that I even care about, let alone prize. Summer's response was, "No, Dad, you love this watch." I insisted, telling her that I'd felt greater joy by giving it to her and knowing she'd treasure it. I also said that I felt it would symbolize our staying together in time. Oh, even though we'd been thousands of miles apart. She boarded her plane glowing, and I left feeling that I had grown immeasurably as a person, since such a compassionate act would have been very difficult, if not impossible for me several years ago. Summer called me in Maui a few months later to tell me that she was sending me a present for Father's Day, stressing that it was a very, very special gift. It turned out to be her all-time favorite painting that she'd created and had hung in her apartment for a long time. As she told me later, "I really learned something the day you gave me your beloved watch. And I wanted to give you something that was my single most precious item. I'm giving it to you, Dad, even though it's difficult to part with, because I want you to have a piece of me with you." Oh, the painting hangs proudly on my wall as a symbol of the beauty and perfection of reaching out compassionately in response to a few felt moment. This personal story epitomizes and personalizes the response to Tolstoy's 3 questions. Do it now, the only moment is available. The only moment available now. Do it with the person you're with in the moment. And do good because this is why you're here. By being and living compassion, you invite and encourage others just by your example to choose to do the same. So if any of you would put in the comments I would love to hear the way that you're living compassion and some of the things that I know that you have done. I would love to hear because I know so many of you have big, beautiful hearts. So, next part is suggestions for living with compassion. Upon awakening, let the words thank you flow from your lips, for this will remind you to begin your day with gratitude and compassion. So it's interesting because I'm feeling this on Thanksgiving, but every day is a day of thanksgiving and gratitude. And just continue to work with that in your heart. Make it a practice to begin each day by thinking first of someone else and then making a decision to actively do something, anything that will bring a smile to his or her face. When you become conscious of wanting to do something kind for another human being, you move into a higher way of being. It takes your thoughts off yourself and what's in it for me, and puts them on how may I serve, which is precisely how the universal mind we call the Tao or God is always operating. When you're aligned with a compassionate outlook, your entire day will reflect that kind of awareness. So in ways too, like just think about our breath and how our breath, our Creator compassionately gives us each breath we take, each move we make. So we make those movements in the now, the only moment we have. So here are some suggestions to get you started. Email a note of appreciation. Say a kind word to one of your children with whom you've been having harsh words. Apologize to an individual you've needed to make amends with. Pick a few wildflowers and hand them to someone. Give away some personal items such as books or jewelry, or send a smile towards someone that might brighten his or her moment. The point is that it doesn't have to cost money. What you're doing is aligning with compassion and thereby setting up your day to work in this way. Whenever you find yourself employing one of your personal familiar excuses, you can stop yourself mid-thought and immediately shift to the person you showed such humanity towards. Note how excuses disintegrate when your thoughts are being kind towards others. You needn't restrict your opening act of compassion to a person. All acts of kindness towards any of God's creatures, even if it's just picking up some trash that was carelessly discarded, impacts our planet. The point is to set your mind on serving and off your ego demands. So, I know you guys I was talking about this beautiful jar of love that my daughter made for me. She made it, she got the jar, she got the glittery glue, she got the paper cutouts, but she made it for me from her heart. And she made something for me in that with every single day of the year that I could reflect on. What a compassionate, beautiful person. And that's what we are all too. So I'd love to hear in the comments what your acts of compassion are, and gratitude and thanksgiving. Okay, so we're going to keep going. You needn't restrict your opening act of compassion to a person. All acts of kindness towards any of God's creatures, even if it's just picking up some trash that was carelessly discarded, impacts our planet. So pick up trash today. The point is to set your mind on serving and off of your ego demands. So in the quote that opens this chapter, Martin Luther King Jr. suggests that our culture needs restructuring, and compassion is the way. I urge you to work towards electing people to public office at all levels who relate sensitivity and kindness in their messages to the public. Attitudes of compassion take into consideration men and women who are involved in concerns of immigration, torture, sexual orientation, religious persuasions, and social economic status. There can be no exceptions here. Look for the compassionate heart rather than the one that excludes, punishment, seeks revenge, and manipulates with government power. The more our institutions reflect this humane attitude, the fewer collective excuses we will call upon to explain why we haven't been able to create the heaven on earth that is our true calling. As I've stated in each of the 7 principles in this part of the book, the active repetition of an inner mantra reinforces and creates exactly what you're saying to yourself. Therefore, repeat the following to yourself or at least every 5 minutes. I am a being of compassion. I extend love outwards everywhere because this is my nature. I am a being of compassion. I extend love outward everywhere because this is my nature. I am a being of compassion. I extend love outward everywhere because this is my nature. Affirm this to yourself continually and post it in a prominent place in your home, your office, or even your car. In the Sermon on the Mount, Jesus gives us the ultimate words of compassion. If our world today would put them into practice, we'd all be living in peace. But even if the rest of the world hasn't yet caught on, you can, and you can be the spark that lights the fire, okay? You. I urge you to put these words to work in your life today, and if you do, all excuses will most certainly vanish. So here's Jesus' sayings. Ye have heard that it has been said, thou shalt love thy neighbor and hate thy enemy. But I say unto you, love your enemies, bless them that curse you, and do good to them that hate you, and pray for them which despitefully use you and persecute you. Matthew 5:43-44. This is compassion in action. And Jesus also told us to love each other as he's loved us. You know, to love your neighbor, to love your brother. So we're going to just take this compassion practice and we are marching it out into the world. We're not going to sit on it because the now moment is our moment of power. So I thank you so much, you compassionate beings, for joining me, and I really appreciate your support. And guess what? We finished chapter 10. We finished chapter 10. Woo, 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 woo. We finished chapter 10. So you know what we're going to do. And one more time for you, compassionate souls. We did it. So thank you so much for your support. I look forward to seeing your positive comments. Hit like, subscribe, and I'm going to see you tomorrow. And you know what comes next. Peace in, peace